I'm not sure why the President of the United States wants to do this to our small businesses, wants to harm our main streets. But here in Pennsylvania, I want you to know that I give a damn about our small businesses, and I give a damn about our main streets. And I am trying, together with these lawmakers, to make life easier for our small businesses.
Shapiro visited a brewery in Bethlehem this afternoon in the Lehigh Valley region.
I just wish the president wasn't working against us as recklessly as he is. This tariff war that he is starting, this button that he is pushing, is going to have one effect, and that effect is to drive up costs on consumers and businesses throughout Pennsylvania at a time where we can't afford that. And it's going to make our lives way more difficult.
Very honored to have on someone who is a statewide elected official in this Commonwealth. It is the Treasurer of Pennsylvania, Stacy Garrity. Thank you so much for joining us, Stacy.
Jack, thanks for having me. And first, before we start,
oh?
Yes, so Navy intelligence
That's
officer.
That's right.
So I'm retired Army.
There we go.
So, challenge coin.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you for your
wow,
service.
wow. Who it to you. Thank you so much for this. How long were you in?
30 years.
30 years. Tell us a little bit about what you did in the Army.
Oh my gosh. So military police, but so I had 3 deployments, all detention operations. So my last deployment.
Oh, well, so I was at Guantanamo. So
Yeah,
I work
so
with you guys all the time. Yeah.
I know. So of course, military police hate detention operations. That was all 3 deployments that I had. And my last deployment,
But you can't be an actual cop.
Exactly. I was acting battalion commander at Camp Bucca in southern Iraq. So we had 7,000 detainees, 225 on death row. And then I had the SHU Special Housing Unit, which I know you're familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
So we were the first internment facility to have 0 escape attempts and 0 abuse allegations. So, kudos to the NCOs.
Was Abu Ghraib during that period, around about then?
No, so Abu Ghraib was 03-04. This was 08-09.
Okay, got you.
Right.
Gotcha.
So I hit my mandatory retirement date in 2016. Had I not hit my mandatory retirement date, I would not be standing here with you because serving was and is the honor of my lifetime.
What do you think about what Secretary Hegseth has done so far?
I think it's great. We couldn't even recruit because, when people join the military, it's not for DEI. It's because they want to serve. Yeah,
and they want to be a warfighter.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to. I mean, it's
they want
the cliche. They want to be all they can be.
Yes.
Right? You want to see how far you can go. You want to challenge yourself.
You don't want diminished standards. Once you lower your standards, it's so hard to get them back up.
So is that what you saw as you were in? Did you see that coming?
I started seeing it coming. So I was a battalion commander, had first trans soldier, and we were going to a weapons call at Fort Indiantown Gap. And so so I had to give my first sergeant a credit card because I'm responsible for all these young women. I could not have a trans in the barracks.
Ugh.
So
so that they were required to be in the barracks.
Well, they had no other provisions because this was like when it was brand new.
Yeah.
So I'm like, here, go get a room.
Go stay out in town.
Yeah, like I can't.
You're going to stay out in town.
These parents would, have a field day if they heard about that. And they should.
Because you have responsibility of female soldiers.
Exactly.
And it's so ridiculous what we're doing. And the fact that you're up there, you're trying to train for weapons qualifications. You're trying to actually, put rounds down range.
Right, and you have these distractions.
Be worried about these distractions, and you just mentioned you had to take time and you had to take resources to go and deal with all of this, which, as we all know, that gets in the way of the mission.
It does. It absolutely
does. But now you're here in Pennsylvania.
I am.
And you're also the Pennsylvania State Treasurer. So the biggest finances has been a huge piece of this going forward. We're all talking about the Trump tariffs. This is the big thing this week. I call it the Great Deal. I think it's the Great Deal because this is the first time that we've seen in years an actual bailout, not for Wall Street, but for Main Street. They've been getting a bad deal. Now it's a great deal. But you tell me. I'm not gonna sit here and vamp. Tell me what the tariffs mean for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Okay, so I say it's very short-term pain for a tremendous long-term gain.
Kind of like Leg Day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And for folks that are complaining about prices going up, well, where were they when we were losing millions of manufacturing jobs overseas? And I have a manufacturing background. I spent 30 years at the largest tungsten smelter in the Western world. We had to shut down an entire business unit. 225 jobs went, and you know where they went. They went to China.
Of course.
Exactly.
They all go to China.
And so all President Trump's asking for is treat us like we treat you.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop. End of story.
And so do you believe that with this tariff policy, and by the way, not just, it's the great deal is more than just tariffs, because you've got also you've got the ability for no tax on tips, you've got the Social Security, and the energy benefits that are going to be coming when we actually get American energy dominance back online. By the way, we've obviously got the LNG right here in the Commonwealth. Right. What do you think the effect will be once this really comes to realization?
Oh, I think it's going to be thousands and thousands of family-sustaining jobs.
Wow.
And you know what? It's more than bringing manufacturing jobs back to the United States. Anything that we can do to encourage manufacturing here, it's a matter of national security.
Of course.
Yes.
And we all learned this during COVID.
We did.
And COVID hit Pennsylvania very hard because of Governor Tom Wolf at the time. We've got, by the way, I'm sure that our current governor would be just the same policies, possibly even worse policies,
Absolutely.
though of course he would exempt himself the same way that Tom Wolf exempted his own company from all of the policies. So you're, as a statewide elected official, do you work with Josh Shapiro on a regular basis with the governor?
I work with the budget office.
Okay.
I do have some dealings with Josh Shapiro. So from a financial standpoint, we work well together.
Okay.
I mean, this isn't commonly known, but we do DOGE in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Talk me about that. Tell me about that.
Because my office makes all the payments of all 70 agencies, over 70 agencies, which, by the way, if you ask me, way too many agencies.
That's a lot of agencies.
Yes. So we have stopped billions and billions of dollars from going out the door in improper payments. Just last fiscal year alone, we stopped $1.7 billion from going out the door. But we could be doing so much more at the agency level if we had the right person in the governor's mansion.
Well, I was going to ask, certainly the governor must be supportive of that. That's waste, fraud, and abuse, right?
Hopefully he is, but I'll tell you what, just at the Department of Revenue, we spent almost $50 million of taxpayer money last year because they gave taxpayers their refunds late. So not only, think about that, wrap your head around it, not only did we give taxpayers their refunds back late, but then we had to pay more money, and it's taxpayer dollars. So there's,
So it's right. So it's government. It's government incompetence that is actually costing more money in real dollars that you have to send out, even though it's taxpayer dollars to begin with.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
It is. It's totally ridiculous. So I think there should be effort at the agency level. Because I'm limited in what I could do. So there's so much more we could do.
And now, when you look at the state of Pennsylvania's finances, obviously, we have. I don't know if you've seen these napkins that have been going around. Stop
these.
Shapiro tax hikes. Please
take
some.
one.
There's a ton of. They're all over the place here at the conference. And when we look at this really is about the fiscal health of the state, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And it's, we're at a crossroads. We're not doing that well. So just this year alone, we will spend $3.5 billion more than what we bring in. Next year, it's going to be $6 billion. The year after, $6.9 billion. Assuming that revenues are pretty constant.
Right.
So no matter how you look at it, we're out of money in 3 years. Out of money, which means one of two things, and neither of them are good.
Everything in the state's coffers is being spent out. Whatever surplus is there is being spent out. We don't have a Fort Knox here. Fort Indiantown Gap doesn't have a whole room full of gold up in there.
No, unfortunately
not that I've seen. You were the battalion commander. You tell me. So what is the governor's plan then?
Well, they just keep throwing more money and hoping something different happens.
Well, and this is what they do. It's I follow him. I watch I watch him like a hawk.
Jack?
Every week there's a new program, there's a new announcement, and I get it. That's how you build popularity. But ultimately, what you're doing is you're spending other people's money.
Exactly, and it's really unconscionable. And I think the money runs out in time for him to run for his next higher office.
Right, and so the money will run out. And look, he was my county commissioner, so I'm from Norristown, Pennsylvania. He was my county commissioner. He ran that county into the ground. He certainly ran Norristown into the ground, in the sense that he represented the area and worked right at the Norristown courthouse. This is the county seat of Montgomery County, and he didn't care. Why? Because he just moved on to the next job. He just moved on to Attorney General, and then when he was Attorney General, crime went absolutely crazy in the state, in particularly the city of Philadelphia, and didn't care about that. Why? He just bounced off to his next job.
Exactly.
And nobody ever holds him accountable.
No, you go past Independence Hall, and what do you see? Filth, crime.
No, the homeless
drug
tents, the
drug
people
addicts.
beating each other to death in the streets, which happened recently. It's horrific.
Yes,
and
something has to give.
Kensington and Allegheny, the K&A, those corners. When I was a kid, and I'm talking like 80s, 90s, you could go shopping there. You could go, and now it's like they call it Kensington Beach, and it's the fentanyl highway. It's horrific.
I know, it is awful. I have relatives that come in from out of state, and they've called me and said, "Stacy, what happened to Philadelphia?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So we really are we're at a crossroads. Something has to give. I mean, even look at education. We're in the top 20% of all states. We spend over $22,000 per student per year on education, and guess what? A little over 50% of our 8th graders are proficient in reading and math. So it's not, it's oil and gas. Reggie, Ohio, Virginia, they're kicking our butts because nobody wants to invest in the Commonwealth because it's, particularly in oil and gas, because you have this Reggie, Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative.
The regulations.
Yeah, which is an illegal tax disguised as a regulation.
Right, and this is when President Trump ran, when he talked about the fracking, when he talked about we have these massive LNG reserves under Western Pennsylvania that are a gift from God to the citizens of this Commonwealth. And you've got these crazy taxes that are pushed by the Democrats, pushed by the Green Movement, and won't actually allow us to tap into our own resources. And so if you want energy dominance, why not use the energy that's right here under our feet?
Exactly. We should be exporting so much more.
Of
and
course.
That would be transformative.
And what does it do?
State.
It brings the price of oil down on the international market.
And inflation down.
And it brings inflation down. It brings all the prices down. Then the tariffs come in. And guess what? Now American goods can become more competitive on the open market. And what does that bring back? The manufacturing jobs.
Exactly. And again, just like manufacturing jobs, energy security is national security. And we see that, all over the world.